Let's talk about a few different strategies that you can use when you're doing arbitrage. The first one is the most standard. It's having even payouts on both sides. This is the way that Gambit Odds is automatically set up for. We do the math for you here. So every time that an ARB is on the table, you can see 1,000 versus 950. It's programmed so that no matter what, your payout will be that $96 or whatever the payout is every single time. It'll always be the same, no matter what side wins, okay? That's a very standard way to ARB. You're basically taking any sort of variance out of it, and you're taking all the gambling factors out of it. You know what you're profiting no matter what. When you're doing this, it's okay if they're off by 5 or 10, 20, 30 bucks. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. You just want to make sure that your bet sizes are something normal, like big round numbers, nothing with decimals or like up to the nearest dollar. That doesn't make sense. The second way that you can ARB is a strategy called leaning. This is where you hedge less on one of the sides of the arbitrage because you think one side is going to win. This has a little bit more gambling to it, but if you have an edge on one side, maybe you don't want to hedge as much on the other side to lock in more profit. Here's an example from the table. If I'm looking at this Mets versus Brewers line right here, and I'm seeing this under 13.5, a comparable bet is around plus 100, and this is plus 130. So they're about the same. If I look at the other side, I'm seeing the over 13.5 is plus 130. The market thinks it's actually around minus 170 or minus 150. So clearly this MGM bet is very off. So in this situation, maybe instead of placing $1,000 and $1,000, you might do $1,000 and $500 to have more exposure on the side that's much more likely to win. However, this is sports betting. Variance is a big thing, and stats don't really matter because there's plenty of human error in games. So bet to your own risk level. The only time that I would encourage doing a lean is something that's in at least a 10% ARB. If you're doing it with like a 5% ARB, it can go any direction during the game. Even 10% might be low. So you probably want to start around 10 as the baseline and move up from there. The last method is just taking something EV or letting it ride, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. It's you're not hedging your bet. You're taking the value that you're getting on one side and you're riding it to the end and you're not hedging. Over the long term, this can be more profitable, but there is a ton of variance in the middle, so you really have to regulate your own emotions and figure if this is the best strategy for you. For a lot of people, arbitrage is easy because you can execute it and move on when you're done. EV, you might be emotionally tied to the bet to the end of the game. You might be focused on it when there's more opportunities that come up on the table. In my opinion, it's good to have a little bit of a mix, but it's up to you to decide your own risk tolerance.